Let's get talking about this. When the APC are speaking about these, they pointed accusing fingers against the candidate of the People's Democratic Party. Tonight, let's get to hear from one of the spokespersons of the Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council. Mr. Charles Aniagu joins us live here in our election studio. Thank you so much indeed for coming tonight.
Thanks, Shehu. It's nice to be here. Good evening, viewer.
I see that you are done the heart of your party. You know, insignias are not usually allowed, except if you have some to pay. Because
maybe on the ground of friendship, you will allow that.
No, I wouldn't. Because you just easily advertising your party, which is not allowed.
The fact that you even introduced me as a spokesperson of the party, you started the advert.
No, that's not an advertisement. That's your title.
Okay, so
let's get to it.
So it's well noted.
Let's get to it.
Thank you.
Your candidate had come out in a statement, and perhaps it's good for us also to go over the statement and see what he said, asking the governor of the central bank not to succumb to blackmail. Nigerians, he says, are suffering, but he said he supports that there shouldn't be any further deadline shift. Considering the statement he made in the earlier part of that statement, where he said Nigerians are suffering, it does look, and this is part of the statement that he made, now it does look like there is a bit of contradiction. In one breath, Nigerians should not succumb to blackmail. The deadline should not be shifted, but Nigerians are suffering because they cannot get these monies out.
He says the central bank shouldn't succumb to blackmail. But we need to, first of all, take it from what he said when he pleaded with the federal government to impress it upon the CBN to have a shift, because before now, a number of Nigerians were not able to have access to the new notes. When he says the central bank shouldn't begin to consider a shift, he believes that within the window so declared by way of this extension, that the central bank should take steps to ensure that these funds, these new notes, the redesigned Naira notes are available to Nigerians. There was a reason for the shift, because there wasn't enough Naira notes for people to access either at the ATMs or when they approach their banks in the banking hall. And believes that this window that have now been created by the CBN, that the CBN should make effective use of it, rather than succumbing to blackmail. You can see there is a lot of blackmail, unfortunately, coming from even the ruling party, that are supposed to support a major policy of the administration. When we started this campaign in the early part of 2021, we had in the later part of 2021, and then of course into 2022, where Atiku now became the presidential candidate of the party, we had thought that in the course of time, after the candidates have emerged, that our opponent would be Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Little did we know that they themselves have chosen another opponent. Rather than face us and face Nigerian people, they are now facing the president. And we're saying, please, the president has made a promise to leave behind the legacy of a credible election. All this blackmail on the president by the APC is not for nothing's sake. It is because the president is determined to leave behind a very credible election. And for us in the PDP, we support the attempt and the effort by the president to indeed leave behind a very credible election. Why are they the one crying more than even the bereaved? One would expect that the opposition party would have been the one crying every now and then. But you can see what is happening. They are the one attacking the president. They are the one attacking the president policy. They are the one alleging that they are fifth columnist. You recall at the beginning, they were mentioning the G5, saying that the PDP, the umbrella is torn. But you can now see that the broom is nowhere to be found. When we told them that they had much more pronounced crisis than the internal difference we have in the PDP, they said no. But thank God, I listened to you, the questions you were asking my elder brother while he was here. You can now bear witness that the APC, which was more or less an association of strange bedfellows, because the administration is coming to an end, the different entities that came together to form the APC are already moving in their different directions. And that is why you are seeing what is happening. Because we made it clear that APC is not a political party. It is a special purpose vehicle. Having realized the purpose for which it is formed, that particular entity is already in tatters. So for us in the PDP and our presidential candidate, our determination is to see that Nigerians are able to have an economy that works. and that blackmailing the central bank governor is not going to be the solution. Rather, let the central bank governor take steps to ensure that the redesigned Naira note is made available to Nigerians. And that once that is done, we support the effort of the government in that direction, because the Naira note has been redesigned. This is not the time to begin to cry. Why should you redesign? Secondly, we believe that any effort to ensure that this particular election is not Nairanized, in which case it's not a question of throwing money up and down, which is where they were relying on. And that is why, you recall, you asked their candidate to come before you in a town hall meeting. They said it doesn't matter, because they believe with money, they don't need to interface with Nigerians. Now that they are seeing that we're interfacing with Nigerians, and that interfacing with Nigerians matter, and that the money they have saved is not going to give them victory, they have decided to face the president. We are urging Mr. President not to go back on these policies. We're only pleading with the central bank to make sure that the policy function and function efficiently, so that at the end of the day, Nigerians are able to have access to this new Naira note without those politicians who are thinking that it's money they are going to use to buy votes, not having access to such money, because it will be illicit funds being deployed very, very negatively.
Is it true that some people in the villa are working with your party or with your candidate?
We don't know what that means. What we have said from the beginning is that we are going to work with all Nigerians.
Including members of the villa.
Including Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Our presidential candidate and his running mate made it very clear that they are going to have a government of national unity. The number one agenda on the 5-point agenda of Atiku is the unity of this country. And that unity of this country is not only unity of members of the PDP. That if we can get people from the APC for them to agree that we have to bring everybody together, look at the payoff on each of our adverts. As one, we can get it done. Which means when we say one nation, one destiny, we are not saying one political party, one destiny. If anybody in the villa who has seen that Atiku and Okowa means well with respect to recovering our country and bringing our country to winning ways, and as such they are ready to work with us, it means they are agreeing with our desire to rebuild our country.
So it's true that some people in the villa are working with you
What I'm
guys.
saying that even as we want Asiwaju himself to even
No,
want
I'm
to
asking the question. You're dodging the question.
What? No, what I was saying
Is
that
it
every
true that
Nigerian,
people in the villa are
every
working with your
Nigerian,
candidate?
we want every Nigerian to work
That's
with
not
us.
the question, Mr. Aniago. The question is, are people in the villa? It's not a general question.
I don't know.
Are people in the villa working with Atiku?
I don't know what you mean if the people in the villa are working with Atiku. If the people in the villa are Nigerians, and they are seeing that Atiku is the man that have what it takes to be able to deliver this country, there is nothing wrong if they are working with Atiku. So long as they are, except you're saying they are not Nigerians. If they are Nigerians, just as those in the APC, including Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is a Nigerian, and he agrees to support Atiku for the purpose of rebuilding our country, as one, we can get it done.
But you still not answer my question.
I've answered as if they are Nigerians.
Are there,
and they have seen the
if they are not, just say they're not, are there people in the villa working with Atiku Abubakar?
I don't know if there's anybody in the villa who is also working against him.
That doesn't still answer the question.
No, except maybe you are prepared an answer, then just give the answer to me, let me read it.
I mean, you were a journalist,
Yes,
so you understand.
I've given you
You're
the
just
answer.
dodging the question. The question is, are there people in the villa? It's a straightforward question. Are there people in the villa? Because that's the accusation. There are elements in the villa working with your candidate. Is it true or false?
An element is made up of atoms. And in atoms, you have protons, you have neutrons, and you have electrons. I don't know which part of that element you are talking about. If you are talking about human beings in the villa, if you take it to elements, I don't know where the elements live in the villa. I have a basic knowledge of chemistry to know that elements has atoms that is made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons.
Charles, you just started talking in poetry.
And I know that's not what you're talking about. But if you are talking about human beings in the villa,
who are working with your candidate.
Listen, there are Nigerians who work in the villa, who are technocrats, who are not politicians, that we have campaigned to in the course of our interface.
And they are now working with, they are not going to work
we need their vote. We believe they will vote for us because we have got what it takes to revive this country.
All right.
The issue of working with us is what I don't understand. But as to whether they will vote for us, Nigerians, including those who are in the APC, by the grace of God, we believe we vote for Atiku and Okowa.
We take a breather, everyone. When we return, my conversation with Charles Aniago, spokesperson of the PDP, continues. Stay with me. We'll be right back. Let's get back to the conversation with Charles Aniago, spokesperson of the People's Democratic Campaign Organization. Thanks so much, Charles, for staying with us on the program.
Thanks for having me.
What is happening? with the chances of your candidate, there are talks like the way I asked Chief Anikaude about the kind of movement that we're seeing and the kind of conversation within the northern region. Has there been some kind of agreement that has been reached that we do not know about?
From the onset, Atiku made it clear that he's a pan-Nigerian candidate. We are not going to northernize our votes or northernize our influence. The influence of our candidates is across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. And which is why you recall at the beginning of this, when INEC declared that parties were quite free to interface with Nigerians. PDP at the earlier time was the only party moving out, reaching out to Nigerians before others joined. We did that because we believe that the ultimate power to elect, in which case the sovereignty, belongs to the people. And we didn't want to take it for granted. And also bearing in mind that the name of our party, People's Democratic Party, we also wanted to give strength to the name of our party, where the power, ultimate power, resides with the people. And so for us, we don't want to listen to those who are saying they are depending on the villa, they are depending on northern votes. We are prepared to garner the vote from across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. And that is why we have always honored invitations, either by television stations or by recognized groups such as the Nigeria Economic Summit Group or different chambers of commerce or even student community, because we believe that these individuals are important. They are not only important for the purpose of giving us their vote. They are important because we have said that we need to unite this country. We need to bring all hands on deck for the purpose of moving our country forward. And if we are going to do that, it means that from the beginning we need to engage with these different segment of our society. And so, my brother Sheung, we are not depending on any regional vote. We are depending on a national vote, because when we come in, we are not going to be involved in the issue of 7%, 97% and 5%. We are going to be involved in dealing with Nigerians on the basis of being in charge and that we are contesting to govern this country and not to govern a region. And so our pathway to victory is the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. That's the way it is.
Tell us about the possibility of an alliance. Is there talk? Because your candidate has said that he's talking to Peter Obi and he's talking to Kwan. So what are the possibilities?
I don't know why that is new to anybody. Our presidential candidate from the beginning made it very clear, and in a different fora he did say that in 1999 when he came on board with Olusegun Obasanjo, they saw that the military years have somehow dealt a very dirty blow on the fabrics that bound us together, and that there was a need to bring every segment of our society, irrespective of religion, ethnicity, or geographical location, together for the purpose of moving as one. And just like I said earlier, that as one, we can get it done. That is our payoff. And so, Atiku is talking to a number of persons because he believes that when we win by the grace of God, that we will need these different persons, irrespective of the political party they belong. Whether we like it or not, we believe we are not like those who are saying that this man is a minion or is this and that. We believe that anybody who is contesting for the purpose of governing our country has got a stake. And even if it's only him and his family, they are also important to us. We are not one of those who want to insult people and say that they are like ice cream and that they are nobody, or that they are very weak in an election. We believe that everybody is strong, but in the midst of their strength, that we are actually quite stronger. Stronger because we have got the reach, stronger because we understand the country called Nigeria, stronger because our candidates understand the issues, and that you need to understand the issues to be able to deal with those things that affect Nigerians. And so, to that extent, I want to tell you that the talks that we're engaging, yes, if they decide to step down for the purpose of assisting our candidate to have a smoother ride, that is good and fine. But the more reason why we want people to work with us is because we believe that the lesser number of persons you have opposing your policies, the more progressive you are going to become with some policies. Look at what is happening with even the APC. Those who are even opposing the APC today, the ruling party, are unfortunately members of the ruling party. These were the same persons at the beginning who were saying that everything is good, that the administration of Buhari has done so well. But you know what? It's like the pounded yam. The more you approach it, as you eat it, the more you see the seed inside it. They have started seeing the seed that Nigerians have seen that, number one, the party didn't do so well, and that the president, in trying to leave a legacy for which he will be remembered, says, I am going to ensure that you have a credible election by not interfering. And urging Nigerians to vote for candidates of their choice. They are not comfortable with it because they thought that money will speak for them. Yeah. And with all these policies, They are already jittery. And whether they are jittery or not, we will continue to interface with Nigerians. We were in Sokoto yesterday. Of course, you saw the mammoth crowd. By tomorrow, by the grace of God, we are going to be in Jigawa. We will, beyond even interfacing with them at presidential rallies, also go about what we call mosquito campaigns. Reach out to these persons and explain to them what we are going to do to turn the fortunes of Nigerians and not just seeking for power's sake.
Let's take a look at some of the policies of your candidate. He's being a poster boy of the idea of privatization in this campaign. Poster boy in the sense that perhaps more than any of the candidates, he's spoken louder than most of everyone that's spoken in their campaigns on the issue of privatization, and he's gotten some criticism. In fact, the candidate of the APC had said, do not trust Atiku because he will sell the assets and what belongs to this nation, and we will have only skeleton left. These are some of the words of Bola Tinubu at the campaign. Can Nigerians trust your candidate based on his idea of privatization or selling assets of the country for economic purposes?
Atiku is not selling the assets of the country. Atiku is going to privatize the assets to make them work and work more effectively for us. For instance, today we have the GSM. That's privatization. You recall that as far back as 1999, our economy was growing as low as 2.1% as the GDP. And between 1999 and 2002, we have been able to take that economy to as much as close to 14.6%. And that was the highest period you have seen in the history of this country in terms of the growth. What happened? Because we brought in the private hands to be able to do what they know how to do best. These individuals who want to, from backdoor, practice socialism, what have they done to the so-called national assets they are talking about? If you look at these assets they are talking about in the course of time that they say they don't want the private hands to play, they just want to have what they will hold on to. I don't want to take you to Lagos and what's happening with when they claim that Lagos is not generating more revenue and how that revenue ends up. This is not a program I want to believe for the purpose of attacking any political candidate. But you do know that the APC, and particularly the presidential candidate of the APC, has not done well in terms of ensuring that businesses are run effectively by people and for the purpose of generating jobs for Nigerians. What Atiku want to do is to govern a country that works. That if you are the man that knows how to tap palm wine, there is no need saying that my father is the one that owns the palm tree, and then you begin to tie red cloth around the palm tree as if you want to erect a shrine. That if you are the one that can tap the palm wine, please climb up the palm wine, tap it, and let all of us drink for the benefit of that tree. And so what Atiku is saying is not to sell.
Yeah.
It's for the purpose of having a very warm handshake with the private sector and allow them to play a very, very critical role and free the funds that were at the moment is not even available. Have you bothered to ask why our foreign debt, why our debt have risen to as much as 70 trillion? To the extent that when they came in into as far back as 2014, we had 9.6 trillion as our local debt. Today, as we speak, is 26.9 trillion. As at the last third quarter of 2022, it has hit 26.9 trillion. Today, also as we speak, our what we call ways and means, the one they take from a central bank, which was as low as 0.6 billion, that is 600 billion naira, as at third quarter of 2014. Today, it has gotten to as much as 23 trillion. Then when you also look at the issue of foreign debt, which was 1.6 trillion, as at 2014. Today, it has gotten to over 17.1 trillion. And so what that tells you is that they are not able to generate. Because those who would have helped them to generate, they sideline them. The private sector that should have been able to create the job, they are not bringing the enabling environment.
There is also a historical perspective to the issue of privatization. And you can give an example of the power sector. There was a privatization,
yes.
But today, Nigerians are still groaning for lack of stable electricity in the country.
You need to go back to the blueprint put together by Atiku and Obasanjo. The unfortunate thing is in the course of time, those who came after them did not follow through the way they should have. What they did, there was a study that was carried out, and it was obvious that we needed to be able to have a proper energy mix, where you are able to take advantage of different sources of energy for the purpose of generating electricity. As at that time, we were relying so much on hydro. And you recall that even in the colonial period, we took advantage of coal, which is why a place like Enugu was called the coal city. A place like Jos was called the tin city. But what happened in the course of time? In the course of time, because we were now operating through hydro, we were enjoying it at the beginning because, yes, it was enough to power the few industries. But over time, we now had more industries. The population grew geometrically to the extent that more people needed to also power their homes. In addition to the fact that the number of persons have now gone into the middle class bracket where they needed air conditioners to also power their homes. Hotels have increased and they needed more power to power all the facilities, including the heaters and the warmers in the hotels, which meant that what you were generating from hydro had become grossly insufficient for you to be able to now deal with this geometric progression in terms of energy need. And what did Obasanjo and Atiku think about? They remembered that we had gas and that we needed to also take advantage of the gas. Yes, once in a while, you may want to stand up as a toddler and then you fall. What is important is that when you fall, you need to now look again what made you to fall. So it was work in progress and so much was being made. So much progress was being made. And what Atiku is saying now is that beyond the fact that we're going to take advantage of the many energy sources so that we now have multiple sources of energy, we would have been able to also take cognizance of what looked like a pitfall at that time.
Let's look at, on a final note, the chances of your candidate in this election.
As bright as the Northern Star.
Interesting.
Yes.
You look at the states that the APC controls, it controls almost double the state.
I listened to my elder brother a while ago. He was mentioning the number of governors they had. They are living in the past. This is not the time where you just assume that because you have a governor, it means you have the state. If that were to be the case, Buhari would not even become a president. Because at the time Buhari won the election, PDP had more governors. And now, with the reforms in the electoral system, and the amount of information available to Nigerians, and the amount of sufferings that Nigerians have gone through, you cannot just tell them that one man will just decide whether is that man also one of the one who is he taking part in the suffering they are going through. So let me tell you, Atiku has been able to provide for Nigerians a working document that speaks to the issues as it affects them. Whether it's in the area of security, whether it's in the area of uniting Nigerians, whether it's in the area of improving our education sector, whether it's in the area of addressing our economic challenges, or whether it's in the area of devolving power so that the component units will be able to play a much more critical role. Atiku have made it very, very clear. In this election, Shehu, I stand to be corrected. Atiku and Ukowa are the only person speaking to the how. Every other person is talking about what they want to do, and not how they want to do it.
What does the campaign of the likes of the NNPP candidate, Kwankwaso, or the Peter Obi of the Labour Party, how much of a threat are these to you, considering the political permutators who will say these are the votes that that would naturally have gone to the PDP, that these gentlemen would have garnered for themselves in the election?
I'm sure, when you gain admission into the university, there were other students in your class. I'm not too sure that those students were threats to you. You know that, yes, you needed to study hard so that you too can come top. When we went into this race, we discovered that, yes, we were going into a contest. We never believed that we were coming in to be crowned as a royal father, in which case, after the community have nominated you, then you just go and receive the staff of office from the governor of the state. We knew that it was a contest. And contest means that we are going to compete with people. And in that contest, we also knew that those who hold the power are the people. And that was why we went to them. And so for us, our strength is lie in the Nigerian people who will believe have listened to us.
So Peter Obi is not a threat?
No, it's not a threat. Kwankwaso is not a threat.
What about Tinubu?
They are contestants in this election.
But Tinubu is...
They are contestants. None of them is a threat. They are contestants.
Thank you so much.
The challenges they pose is to enable us also further, to move further into the hinterlands and talk to our people so that they don't deceive people to follow them. That's all.
Charles Aniago, spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you so much indeed for coming.
Thanks for having me. It's a privilege.